Hi there, I'm doing the recording for the partnership teacher interview for LIC 534. My name is Maureen Schnippel, and I did my teacher interview with Mrs. Reeves. She's a first grade teacher at Forest Hills Elementary. What did I decide to ask my partnership teacher and why? I took the questions that were provided for us. I felt like they kind of were the similar to ones I wanted to ask, and were great questions to ask my teacher that I wanted to get answers for her to cover what she thought and resources about different things in social studies that she's doing with her class. Um, why do you think partnership teachers' answers matter? I think that my teacher, her answers matter. She's been teaching for 25 years, so definitely based on the experience that she has, and she would know like what works best and what hasn't worked best and how the resources have changed and what she finds is the best way to implement social studies in the curriculum. Can you describe your beliefs about teaching social studies with young learners? My teacher said, I believe social studies should be taught in a way that allows young learners to make connections to their own experiences. And I believe this to be so true, so they can connect it to what's going on in real life, what's going on at their, in their life and stuff like that. And it helps to make it interactive in their teaching. And I see that when kids are able to connect it in her classroom, they just have such a broad range of learning. What do you think is most important to teach? My teacher said, I think all standards are important to teach, but children are very interested in learning about famous Americans and finding evidence of their achievements in our world. The global focus of our school has embraced presence, a difference path for learning that has been very exciting. So I've only seen a couple social studies lessons, but I have seen the kids take out books and they're like children's books that have to do with famous Americans, and they always seem so interested in those books. So I can definitely see how that to be true, that they're interested in that, and their global focus is South America. So that has been interesting to see that. What resources do you find the most helpful in planning and teaching social studies? She had mentioned Discovery Education, which seems like a really cool interactive website, and trade books and read alouds. So I've seen her do some books and stuff like that. The kids always love read alouds, and they always pay, like they love to hear the stories read. And I see them do small groups of different kids get different books and then doing kind of an assignment based on the books that they have to read. What challenges do you face as a classroom teacher in social studies, planning and teaching? She said the lack of time during the school day is the most challenging. Integrating social studies and language arts is the best way to successfully teach the required standards. And I completely believe that to be true. I pretty much have stayed almost a full day, and they are just allotted in their schedule just solely for social studies and science, like maybe 10 to 15 minutes. And most times I do see more science than social studies. So I do see that she tries to integrate as much social studies into language arts learning. So when they do their daily 5 and rotating, most of the writing station is something based on that they have learned from social studies. That is when I did my primary and secondary sources. I was able to incorporate it in the daily 5 time during language arts, because I did incorporate writing and reading during my activity. But I just noticed that a lot of the emphasis is towards language arts and math in their schedule. And so I know that she does find it hard to integrate social studies. She said, I asked her a question, can you tell me about the resources your school or school system has available for you for teaching social studies? And again, she said Discovery Education, Time for Kids magazines, which those seem really interactive for the kids, nonfiction leveled reading to use in guided reading groups. As I had stated before, that I've seen the kids use the books that she can incorporate for social studies standards during their language arts times to incorporate with the social studies standards as well. And the last question I asked her was, what advice would you give me about teaching social studies? And she said, providing learning opportunities for children to make connections with social studies topics and their own experiences is an excellent method of teaching and makes learning more relevant. And like I said, I completely agree. Just having a connection, making connections to these kids with the social studies unit would be just great for these kids to kind of see, the relevance of social studies, because a lot of times I feel like social studies is so pushed to the side, but making it relevant to their life, and making a connection to them would definitely, I think, make it more interesting. Um, so what can you take away from the questions and responses as you move into your internship and first year teaching? After doing, the interview and just working at this school, I just feel like definitely the resources and just constantly seeing how social studies is not really big on the schedule, but just trying as much as you can to incorporate in those times that you can incorporate social studies into any other subject, even if it's math, and definitely language arts, and just making those relevant connections with the kids, taking something that they're interested in, and finding it in the standard and having it relevant to, just something bigger, like a bigger picture, something that they can from around the world that they can also incorporate too. So yeah, there was my interview with my teacher from Forest Hills, Mrs. Reeves. Thank you.